Attorney.
Yes, good morning, Gretchen.
Good morning. All right. Tell us more about the request of the defense that has been rejected by the ICC, the removal of two judges from the jurisdiction case. What's the story behind that?
Well, we just found out that apparently at the same time that the defense filed a question or a challenge over the jurisdiction, they asked two out of the three judges to, in our terms, to inhibit themselves or to take themselves out of the team, which would require, and this would be in a sense logistically a delaying tactic, because you cannot have just one judge decide on this matter, and therefore there should have been, if they were successful, there should have been some sort of assignment or reassignment of judges. But anyway, they were asking for the inhibition, we're going to use that in the Philippine context, inhibition of two judges, saying that they could have already prejudged the situation, considering that they had been part of the original team. Buti na lang the pre-trial chamber said, well, we're not going to do that because it's not proper, and we're going to proceed with the team of three as we have already been proceeding. Kaya kumbaga tuloy lang. Yung rejection na ito, we think, the application, this kind of move, we think is just one part of the arsenal of the Duterte camp to, well, in one way, to stretch out the proceedings, and on another hand, to really question everything that goes their way.
Okay, when you say original team, is that the team that decided on the jurisdiction of this case, I think back in 2021, if I recall it correctly?
That's correct to a point. This was the original team that was assigned to the case, which authorized the opening of an investigation. They weren't really actually asked to decide on quote-unquote jurisdiction. Ang tinanong sa kanila, can we, starting from the preliminary examination, open an investigation? Meaning, can we look at who are most responsible? Of course, the defense will say, ibig sabihin nun, may underlying na question, meron ba tayong jurisdiction? But that was not explicitly questioned at that time. Kaya, para sa defense, hirap din sila because at that point, they weren't in the picture yet. So essentially, this is the first time that jurisdiction has been directly challenged, which is why for me, it was ludicrous for them to ask for the recusal of these two judges, because it's as if saying anybody who decided earlier on any question pertaining to jurisdiction, bawal lang mag-decide any further. E di ang mangyayari, new judge tayo every process thereafter. Sasabihin na, baka kasi ma-prejudge nyo na. So, itong mga judges na kaharap natin, baka sabihin ako, hindi na kayo pwedeng mag-decide on any further matter. Papalitan yan every issue. Ang hirap naman na ganun.
And therefore, the integrity of those judges also being questioned.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, but they did it in a very polite manner.
Well, attorney, you mentioned that their defense was laughable. Which part of it was laughable? And Article 12 was brought up by Attorney Kaufman, saying that they were questioning when the court's jurisdiction was triggered and not when the crimes were committed. Which part was laughable?
Well, laughable in the sense that we've been at this for so long, tapos biglang madidismiss lang. So, there's context to it, and I've been talking about there's the distinction of jurisdiction and exercise of jurisdiction. So, parang paulit-ulit na kasi na may jurisdiction yung ICC nung panahon na miyembro tayo. And that would really be incongruous with us signing the Rome Statute. Kaya natin pinirmahan yun with the para with the intention of being covered at the time that we were a member. Ngayon, ang dadagdag pa palang requirement, dapat pala naka-akto o may ginawa yung ICC nung panahon na yon. At yung ginawa, required na maging investigation. What we've been putting forward is the defense conveniently overlooked a stage or a portion of the, generically, of the investigation that is termed preliminary examination that was opened at the time when we were a member of the court. Kaya if you look at their submission, may date silang skinip, which was February 2018, clearly within the period we were a member, which was the time that the Office of the Prosecutor opened a preliminary examination. Kaya even with their own logic, sabi nila, kailangan may nabuksan na quote-unquote investigation nung panahon na member tayo. Investigation with a capital I talks about, well, that happened in 2021. But we had a preliminary examination or an ICC proceeding happening in 2018.
Attorney Conti, another thing that was brought up by Attorney Kaufman was that you and Attorney Joel Betuyan were not approved to be representatives of the victims, but rather the OPCV. Is there truth to that?
Well, no, because we have not yet even applied as legal representatives. It's because our clients, the victims, have not even been invited yet to qualify. We previously put out communications regarding application of victims so that they can be called victims of the case. However, that application period has not opened yet. Kumaga, hindi pa po bukas yung registration. Only after the completion of that period will the appointment of a common legal representative be made. However, and this is important to put out, hindi naman pwedeng mabura yung mahigit 8 taon na naming pagtulong dun sa mga biktima. We do represent the victims in other capacities, in other proceedings, and in fact, generally, we do represent their interests. So, I thought it was really unethical and unfair for only 2 months between us, lawyers.
Attorney Conti, we don't have much time, no, but I'd just like to get your thoughts on the effect of this jurisdiction case. Will it be solved before the confirmation of charges hearing in September? Do we expect that? And what are the timelines? Have they been moved? What is the effort, or what are the efforts of the prosecution?
So I can speak for the prosecution because I'm not part of the prosecution, but for the court as well, we're waiting for their instruction. They can settle this issue before September, or they can talk about jurisdiction and the confirmation of charges in September together. So we're looking for that cue, but hopefully we finish this issue before September so that we can proceed on the merits of the case already. There's no timelines yet where everybody's waiting for the ICC announcement and the schedules. But what we have would be, if we were to continue, by July we will have possible charges. By September we will have the hearing on these charges and the answer of the defense.